Am I allowed this up here? I don't know. I can't. Gosh, just quick update. Actually, before I do that, I do want to make sure I congratulate Coach Bradbury and the women's program for just an incredible start. Haven't really had a ton of time to watch them practice or even play. I hear their practices, but just the job he's done and the turnaround he's kind of orchestrated here, amazing. I think everyone around Lobo Athletics is looking for some life and some optimism right now, and I'm really, really glad that he's been able to do that. Hopefully we'll get to continue to know him here in my time here, but so far I've just admiring everything he's done here, kind of from a distance, and just amazing the things that they're doing. Also on that note, I said something to Jeff after our last game. I do want to congratulate Doug and the football team down at State for their accomplishment. Watching Doug kind of rebuild that program, I was there kind of with him a little bit, and Coach Decker, and just kind of watch them do that there. Was really, really happy for him, and obviously their program, and Mario for kind of, being there and supporting Doug as well. So those are just a couple of kind of outside just thoughts I've had that I haven't had a chance to share. I haven't been on social media much here lately, just kind of trying to worry about our own team right now. But as far as our team goes, obviously our last game didn't go how we would want to from a one-loss perspective. I did feel like leading up to it, we had some really good practices. I thought we were doing and still are continuing to do some good things that just unfortunately aren't yet showing up on basically the win-loss column, which is unfortunate, but we're just going to kind of keep pounding away at doing the things that we're doing, trying to become a better basketball team, trying to embrace me and our new style and culture and everything else. I would like quick wins just like everybody else would, but unfortunately it doesn't always come that way, particularly with change, and we're just going to kind of keep pounding the rock at doing what we're doing, and hopefully at some point that'll begin to turn for us. Colorado's a very talented team, obviously coming off of a tough loss themselves, so we'll expect them to have pretty good bounce back coming off of a loss. Another great challenge for us. It's a blessing and a curse, I guess, playing a schedule like this, but to just continually playing really good basketball teams, I think in the long haul is really going to make us a better basketball team, and Colorado obviously represents that as well. Nothing really major to report other than that at this time. Everyone who's healthy still healthy, and Connor's still working his way back from his injury.
Is that the thing that you probably looking for the most, is consistency?
I think it's a good question. There's three elements of the game: the offense, the defense, and the rebounding. And I've said it before, and we just haven't been able to put all three together at once for consistent periods. I think there's times we've looked really good offensively. Sometimes we've looked really good defensively. Very few times we've looked good on the glass, but nevertheless, sometimes we just haven't been able to put all three together in a game. And I think in the UTEP game, our defense in particular just really let us down, especially in that first half. We didn't come out with the kind of energy that we needed. And unfortunately, it's kind of been something in those disappointing games. In Maryland, I thought it was our offense. At New Mexico State, I thought it was rebounding. I can just kind of go down the line, and we've never been able to. And against a good team, we have to play all three phases, and we have to play them very well. We have a very small margin of error. We talked about that yesterday as a team, and watching film. We don't have someone at the back of the defense that's just going to swat all the shots away when we make a mistake or gobble up a rebound when someone misses a box out. We don't have someone offensively that's just going to bail us out with some miraculous great shots like an Omega Harris or whatever. So we have to be good. We can't have a lot of little mistakes and be successful. We don't have that kind of margin for error.
The first couple games, it seemed like, as you predicted, rebound is going to be an issue, lack of size, that sort of thing. But the last couple games, shooting percentage has really been a question. Do you have a number or something that's going to keep you guys in games? Because, shooting 35% isn't going to help your cause.
Good point. And I think, we talk a lot about statistics and the kind of shots that are good shots and the kind of shots that are bad shots. Unfortunately, with us, we're still working through some new guys that think a 2-point jump shot's a good shot, and it's just not. And we need to get the ball inside out more, which, you know, there's really one guy I think we really feel comfortable kind of playing in and out of right now, and even it's just going to be kind of based on his matchups. So offensively, I still think we're working through some things. I think the percentage-wise, it's really, you know, the road and away right now is a little bit of a discrepancy, and we've got to find a way to generate better offensive games on the road right now. Obviously, at home, we've been having some pretty good outputs, and really, when you look at those numbers, there's just a couple of guys whose percentages are drastically different than at home. I think a lot of guys hasn't really affected them much, but there's a couple that you can see are being affected quite drastically, and that's maybe some things we need to do differently as a team, but also just part of their individual growth processes as players, which we also have to focus on.
Is that what you attribute the struggle on the road? Is they're not comfortable shooting and whatnot? You got to find some wins along the road somewhere.
Yeah, no question. Really, I look at that UTEP game, and it's really hard to get an offense going when someone's going to shoot over 50%. It's just hard. You know, that ball goes in a lot, and it's hard to get something going. And even the forced turnovers, they were only at 14. We weren't able to get things out of our defense that I think we're going to need to get. I don't think we have the kind of team that's going to be able to just execute in the half court at a really high rate, more so just because of how we're built and maybe some of the individual players we have. It's just kind of how we are. We do it collectively as a unit, and right now we have a couple of guys on the road whose percentages are just down, and I think that's a combination of maybe some team things we can adjust for those guys and also just their individual growth. For sure. For sure. Percentage-wise, yes. Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. I think, you know, like I said, we've got a couple of guys. If you split the home and away percentages, you know, some are drastically down, and one of those, he's new to college basketball or Division I basketball. So I think it's just going to be him growing up and learning how to play better on the road and maturing as a young player.
You didn't start Troy on Saturday. Will he start on Wednesday?
To be determined. I think every young player has their journey, and there's ups and downs along with that. We have rules, we have standards, and when those aren't met, a variety of consequences are handed out. That happened to be his.
Did you say what rule you violated?
Punctuality.
Is it something that has happened before, or was this a one-time thing, or is it?
Yeah, I wouldn't say anything that I'm overly concerned about. Just young kids still trying to learn how to approach things in a championship way.
Some fans are concerned about the style and whether it fits this team. What's the balance you're keeping between trying to win now, like you say, obviously you want to do and fans want you to do,
yeah,
and not straying from what you think the big picture is? You say you're not a big picture guy,
yeah,
and you want to win now, but you also want to stick to this system you're implementing.
Sure.
Should you be winning more games right now if you changed your style?
You know, I think defensively, no, and we've talked about that consistently as a team. When you don't have size, I think you've got to do something to kind of make up for that. So the things that we're doing defensively, I feel as though definitely give ourselves the best chance to win. Offensively, you could look at it a few different ways. I think it's a little bit of the same thing without having, you know, one or two really go-to guys down in the post or in particular areas of the floor. You don't really want to slow it down for that reason and allow those other teams to set up their size and their length. So we're really trying to use, you know, our speed or lack of size, however you want to look at it, in the best way that I think is possible. If at some point I feel as though we need to make a drastic change and that I feel as though by changing we will win tonight's game or tomorrow's game or whatever happens to be, I would do that. I'm not married to something in the sake of defeat. But I haven't gotten into a coaches meeting yet where any other coach has felt differently. I haven't watched any film and ever felt differently. That doesn't mean I may not in the future. But right now, defensively, I 100% don't see another way. Offensively, I think if some guys are shooting a little bit better or a little bit closer to their averages, I don't know if we'd be having that conversation either. And I think just 8 games in, the sample size is a little small to start pulling the plug on some guys, and they're licensed to shoot early or shoot threes.
You've seen something like this before, right? I mean, like, just, like people panic, they don't even know what's going on.
Sure.
In reference to that, what you were just talking about, like, they don't even know, like, further down the road, everything works like it's supposed to work. Mm-hmm. Oh, look at that. You know what's gonna happen,
It's a look, at the end of the day, we are what our record is, and I would never run from that. We have to take that. We have to improve. We have to grow. We have to get better. I think in a perfect world, the schedule would have maybe flowed into some tougher teams. And when you have the number 1 strength of schedule in the league, and you're quote unquote the 9th place team going in with a brand new team and a brand new coach and brand new players, it might not go well early on. And I think that's the reality of it. I don't like it. That doesn't mean I accept it, but it is what it is. And we have to kind of grow from there. And hopefully as this season goes on, we'll continue to get better at what we do and grow and improve. And I'll get judged on that. For those that want to judge us after 8 games, you're more than welcome to. I get that. That's the business that we are in. But I don't think it's really any cause for me or anyone in our program to be panicking or thinking that there's something that we're not doing that isn't in our overall best interest. Everything we do is in the best interest of this program, from how we play to when we play to everything else.
Can you tell me about their point guard, McKinley Wright?
Pretty good. I mean, King right now is someone we're worried about, especially his shooting is sometimes on and off. And, their percentages overall scare me just because it's very similar to UTEP. And when those shots go down, it hurts. And just because guys are shooting in the 20s right now doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to shoot higher when you play them. I think we can try and control the 3-point attempt. I think we can try and control potentially the quality of it, but 3-point makes in the data world, they're hard to control sometimes. And UTEP obviously taught us that lesson. And Colorado, I'm nervous going in just because they do have a lot of shooters that aren't shooting great percentages, but those are obviously capable of going in come game time.
Joe's got foul trouble the last couple games. I know you guys have the lack of size. Is there something you could do to help Joe out, or would that just be hurting the defense too much to protect him?
I thought we watched his first 2. I mean, I don't know. I thought they could have gone either way. And even that moving screen call he had in the second half where he had the ball. I mean, some of them, it just kind of gets in the game and the emotion of it and things like that happen and people make calls. And there's been a lot of times where like 2 of the first 3, there's been 3 fouls at whatever minute mark, and 2 of them have been on Joe. I think they've just kind of happened. He's just been wrong place, wrong time. We watched some restricted arc plays yesterday just to kind of go over the rules because him and Vlad are picking up some in the restricted arc area right now. And we watched some officials' videos yesterday as a team just going over what you can and can't do in there. Hopefully that will help. And it's just something Joe's getting used to. Joe's a senior. I love him. I think the fans love him. But Joe hasn't played a ton, and he's just working through playing a lot of minutes on a college basketball court. And Anthony Mathis has the same thing. He has a higher foul rate. He's just not playing as many minutes or asked to do as many minutes. And I think some of these guys are just getting caught up to not playing a lot over the last few years. And I think that's part of it with Joe is just it's happening at a pretty quick speed, and he's just trying to get caught up. And hopefully he continues to take that experience and grow and get better.
Talking about growth, what are some of the areas of growth again? I mean, it looks like there's some growth even when you guys lose. What's been some?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. Again, everyone's going to see the end result on the court, and I get that's what I'm evaluated on, and that's what we're evaluated on. But these kids are doing a lot of things that are leading and are putting foundational things in place that are going to lead us to be successful. I know it's not in game 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever, we're at 8, but I hope it's going to come much sooner rather than later. And I think that our practice habits, our work habits, our training habits, our sleeping habits, our nutrition habits, everything that we're starting to put in place, even our style of play, I genuinely in my heart of hearts feel that this is going to lead to a very successful program. I want it to be now like everybody. It took Huggins 3 years. It took Donovan 3 years. I can go down the lines of coaches where it just took time, and I hate that more than any other fan can possibly imagine. But unfortunately, when you are instilling change in a brand new roster, it just takes a little bit of time sometimes.
On a high note, you have to be happy with Pinchuk and Malik. They're shooting really well, 65%, 70%, and with Joe being in foul trouble, I thought that Pinchuk played a pretty good game with the rebounds and the shooting. They might have other places you're not happy with, but
no question.
Since they both
Yeah.
came late, you have to be pretty
No,
happy with the two.
Vlad has been probably our most pleasant surprise. I think maybe fans on the outside didn't know what Sam could or couldn't do. The moment I got here and watched Sam and everything else, I was like, Sam's going to be a really good basketball player. And I felt really good about what he was going to do this year. So I know a lot of people are looking at him going, wow, but like just me personally, I thought that was going to happen. Vlad's been probably the most pleasant surprise. And his improvement since he got here has been exceptional. And to have kind of a piece like that in place for the future is very comforting. To have a 6'10", 18-year-old kid that's going out and doing the things he's doing right now. It's awesome, and we're very happy about that. McQuatch is very efficient in his field goal percentage. His turnovers concern us. But again, he's got a good attitude. He plays very hard. And to play those kind of freshmen right now, and I said it on the radio after the UTEP game, to count on guys like that for 20, 25 minutes a night on the road, it's going to be hard to win. That's just the reality of college basketball. But I think them getting these minutes right now is just going to be invaluable for their development, not only this season, but in years to come.
You've made a couple comments about how the reality is, it is what it is kind of stuff. Are you surprised at your record right now?
Yeah, I think one game for sure. I think the Tennessee Tech game, I don't think there's a person in our program that ever felt like that was something that wasn't going to go our way. And I think going into the UTEP game, a lot of people, again, probably looking at someone's record, probably assumed we would get that. I think the other ones you knew going in. Now, you look at Ken Palm, and we weren't supposed to win those games either, outside, I think, Tennessee Tech. I mean, there's the outside reality of what people think we are and how good we think we are. But I think internally all along we've always felt we were better than what those outside expectations might have been. Coach Henson always used to tell me that at the end of the year you always got to throw 3 games out of there's no rhyme or reason to it. They wasn't going to be your night that night. Maybe we've already used up 2 of those 3, and for the rest of the year we'll be fine. But as you sit back and watch the UTEP game and you take aside their record, they played an exceptional basketball game. That was the best they've played since Boise. Omega Harris was unbelievable. Colby McGee was incredible. Flagger, I mean, they just made shots all over the court. And as much as it pains me to sit here and say someone else was better than us, they were just better than us. They were just a good basketball team. Now, does that reflect poorly on us because their record isn't very good and now that means we're even worse? I don't know. I mean, that's something that I think the rest of this season will kind of play out. But I can tell you right now that that team was better than a lot of other teams we played this year, or at least a decent amount of them.
And then you are coming off a loss, and your next 3 are tough.
No question.
You're in a stretch right now where fans are probably going to be looking at these next 3 games and wanting to know, what's going on big picture-wise. Are you looking at all beyond? I know you're not going to have your team look beyond Wednesday, but are you looking at this 3-game stretch knowing that it's a pretty big stretch for this program?
I mean, we knew when it started. We knew, unfortunately, after Tennessee Tech, but we knew after Tennessee Tech it was a heck of a stretch. And that was something we all looked at when we saw the schedule at the beginning. That being said, we really don't think about another game until we handle the one we're in now. I mean, we don't talk about – no one even brought up Colorado, before UTEP. And no one will talk about New Mexico State until Colorado's over. So we're really just focusing on the game at hand, doing everything we can to prepare ourselves the best, to be the best, to execute the best. And then when that game's over, we move on and get ready for the next team. We were still watching UTEP stuff yesterday, and we're still going to watch UTEP stuff today. We're still in the moment, worried even more about us than who we're playing. And I've told the guys this, I've told you guys this. A lot of people judging on wins and losses. I can't judge it that way. It's about our effort, our execution. Are we growing? Are we developing? And we just have to continue to do that. Thank you.